Yes it does, and there's hundreds of reasons why Tears of the Kingdom needs a story, but don't click off yet. It's been in development for 6 years, and over that time, we've only seen the smallest fragments of a story. Even with the last trailer, we can tell there is a story, but we have the smallest guess of what it could actually be. But the reason I'm here today is because I think even without a story, this game is going to be one of the best games of all time. Now, first off, even with what I'm about to say, I still entirely believe that Tears of the Kingdom needs a story. And a story much better than Breath of the Wild's. Breath of the Wild had an interesting world with endless things to discover, but when we look at other Zeldas, it doesn't give much to sneeze at. Even with the simplicity of previous games, it still lacks in comparison. And for those of you who are against the idea of having a bigger story, then remember, you can always have Breath of the Wild. So, for Tears of the Kingdom to hold up, I believe it has to have a great story. But without any further dilly-dallying, we have to see why Tears of the Kingdom will still kick ass and take names without one. When we saw the car in the second trailer, our interest certainly peaked, but we had no clue what this meant for the rest of the game. But after the gameplay reveal, oh boy. I don't know if many people realize this yet, but the Fuse and Ultra Hand mechanics are truly a landmark for gaming. In a previous video, I mentioned how we might be at the ceiling of where games can improve, and that's not necessarily true, but the mechanics shown here are something we've never achieved before to this extent, and something that will never be done in the same way again, and there's a great reason for that. Now, I'm certainly not a game developer. I've made small Unity games, but never anything huge. But I understand how games work, and the level of effort and engineering it takes to create mechanics like Fuse is insane. But please, don't take it from me. Take it from the AAA developers when it was revealed. As found by Nintendo Prime, developers explain how this gameplay makes everyone else look bad, and I'll let you watch his channel for more on that. However, I will point out a comment from the video that perfectly explains what sets this game apart from everything else. The commenter says 99% of developers having seen the commercial and critical success of Breath of the Wild would have just made the same game again but with a new map and story, including most of the development teams at Nintendo. But to see Ainuma's team not sit on their laurels and just reinvent the game is just special. This is special. It's risky. I mean, even in the replies to this comment, there's people who still think retaining the old map is a bad idea. But I have to disagree. Would I prefer to explore a new world instead? Well, yes, absolutely, but reusing the map brings a whole new depth to the exploration. It's been years since the end of the Calamity, and with the new upheaval, we can now experience an entirely new version of Hyrule. While it might look similar at a glance, there's entirely new sights to behold. But before we go on, I'd like you to picture this. You're floating on an island with only yourself, a broken tree branch, and a boulder. As we know, with Fuse you can now combine them to create something awesome to bash in a bokoblin. You keep this weapon until it eventually breaks, but you were able to grab a spear in the meantime, so you decide to combine it with a boulder again. But, oh wait, that bokoblin you just killed a moment ago dropped a horn that actually adds much more damage to your spear, so you do that instead. This cycle continues with you crafting better weapons as you conquer stronger enemies. Then you discover that you can add those horns, rocks, or even leaves to your arrows, and you spend hours experimenting with that. Then you also start building massive vehicles with turrets. Eventually, you even start building tents, homes, and even mansions. This is more than just an expansion. This is a high uncomparable. This is fun. Looking back at the comment, I believe this shows exactly what brings Nintendo apart from most other developers. When it comes to game development, much of Nintendo goes against the grain. They've never had the outstanding graphics from other publishers, but they've always had the best gameplay around. Tears of the Kingdom will just follow suit. It's been said that Shigeru Miyamoto hates story, and while he's had nearly no role in the development of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom besides being a general producer, his ideologies have dug deep into the core of Nintendo and affects all projects. However, this isn't all bad. In a parallel tangent with that idea, he also has a strong focus and love with gameplay. When Miyamoto first demoed Breath of the Wild, he spent much of his time climbing trees, and that's when the director of these games, Fujibayashi, realized exactly what would eventually make Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild legendary. They called it multiplicative gameplay, in reference to the way Breath of the Wild used various objects and mechanics to enhance one another. They take a handful of simple mechanics and use them the best ways they can. Even more so, this is shown in Tears of the Kingdom. They've taken the simple idea of combining weapons and compounded it to revolutionize the way everyone will play this game. It's not a DLC. This is all to say that these mechanics shown are, at the least, game-changing. The ideologies that pushed Paper Mario to the brink of death, in a way, also made Breath of the Wild the game of the year. There's a strong reason why Nintendo still exists nowadays as one of the giants in video games, despite being weaker than the competition, looking worse, and even having numerous consoles flop. There's a reason Nintendo survived through the Wii U and eventually made the Switch. That reason is fun. There's a reason why Nintendo has fans from 1 to 92. That reason is fun. And lastly, there's a reason why Tears of the Kingdom will do great without a story. That reason is fun. And you know what else is fun? Supporting the economy. And you can help with that by subscribing to me so I can support my economy. And always remember to put the seat down after you're finished. And keep cool.